What if I told you that one of the most heartbreaking love stories ever painted contains no kiss, no battle, and no tragic death? In fact, nothing appears to happen at all. A young woman stands quietly beside the stone wall of a medieval castle. The afternoon sun shines across the courtyard. Everything looks peaceful, almost ordinary. But then your eyes notice something strange. The title, the shadow, not the ladies, not the castle, not the waiting bride, just the shadow. Why would an artist spend months creating such breathtaking detail, only to name the painting after something most people barely notice? That single word transforms the entire scene. Because the real subject of this masterpiece isn't the woman. It isn't the castle. It isn't even the man she seems to be waiting for. It's the shadow stretching silently across the wall. A shadow that may represent hope, or heartbreak, a promise, or an illusion. For more than a century, people have admired this painting for its beauty, yet very few stop long enough to ask the one question that changes everything. What exactly is the shadow trying to tell us? Today, we're stepping into one of the most emotional paintings ever created by Victorian master Edmund Blair Lytton, a work filled with hidden symbolism, silent storytelling, and a mystery that continues to fascinate art lovers around the world. And by the end of this video, you may discover that this painting isn't about the woman at all. It might be about you. A painting that speaks without words. Some paintings impress you with color. Others amaze you with technical skill. But once in a while, a painting tells an entire story without anyone saying a single word. The Shadow is one of those rare works. There are no written clues, no dramatic action, no obvious explanation. Just one quiet moment, frozen forever. And somehow, that silence says more than words ever could. The longer you look, the more questions begin to appear. Who is this woman? Why is she alone? Why does she seem lost in thought instead of looking around the courtyard? And perhaps the biggest mystery of all, why does the shadow seem more important than the person casting it? Great artists understand something many people don't. Sometimes, the most powerful emotions are the ones we never speak aloud. Edmund Blair Lytton understood that better than almost anyone. The artist who painted emotions. To understand the shadow, we first need to understand the man behind the brush. Edmund Blair Lytton was born in England in 1852 during the height of the Victorian era, a time when artists and writers were deeply fascinated by the romance of the Middle Ages. Castles, knights, princesses, secret gardens, ancient traditions. These weren't just stories to Victorian audiences. They were dreams of a world that felt more honorable, more beautiful, and perhaps more meaningful than modern life. Many artists painted medieval battles or legendary kings. Lytton chose something very different. He painted emotions. Not loud emotions. Quiet ones. A nervous smile before a proposal. A silent goodbye. The first glance between two strangers. The lonely wait for someone who may never return. His paintings feel less like historical illustrations, and more like scenes from a movie paused at exactly the right moment. Every fold of fabric, every ray of sunlight, every stone in the castle wall was carefully painted to make the viewer feel as if they had stepped inside another century. That's why his work still feels alive today. Because while fashions change, human emotions never do. Love, hope, fear, loneliness, they're timeless. And nowhere is that more evident than in the shadow. The first thing most people miss. At first glance, your attention naturally goes to the young woman. She's dressed in an elegant medieval gown. Her posture is graceful, her expression calm. She's standing beneath the warm sunlight, surrounded by the solid stone architecture of what appears to be a noble castle. Everything about the painting suggests peace, security, comfort. But look again. She isn't smiling. She isn't reading. She isn't speaking to anyone. She's simply waiting. And waiting can be one of the most painful emotions a human being experiences. Because waiting always asks the same question. Will the future become what we hope it will be? Leighton never answers. Instead, he gives us something much more powerful. A mystery. The woman's body faces one direction, but her attention seems drawn somewhere else. Not toward another person, not toward the castle gate, toward something that cannot speak, cannot move, and cannot lie. Her shadow. And that's where the real story begins. More than just a shadow. Most painters treat shadows as simple tools. They add depth. They create realism. Then they're forgotten. Leighton does the opposite. He makes the shadow impossible to ignore. It stretches across the ancient wall as though it has a life of its own. It almost feels larger than the woman herself. Why? Because throughout history, shadows have carried powerful meanings. In ancient cultures, a shadow was sometimes believed to represent part of the human soul. In medieval folklore, people often saw shadows as symbols of destiny, memories, or the invisible future walking beside us. Whether Leighton believed those legends or not, he certainly understood their emotional power. He knew that a shadow could represent something every viewer has experienced. The distance between who we are today and who we hope to become. The distance between reality and dreams. And suddenly, the painting begins to change. What first appeared to be a quiet afternoon inside a castle now feels like something far more personal. As if this woman isn't simply standing in the sunlight. She's standing at the edge of her future, and the shadow is showing her a life she cannot yet reach. If the story ended with a woman standing beside a wall, this painting would have been forgotten long ago. But great artists know something remarkable. Every object inside a painting can become a sentence. Every color can become an emotion. Every beam of light can become part of the story. And in the shadow, almost nothing appears to be placed by accident. The more carefully you look, the more the painting begins to speak. A castle that feels like a prison. At first, the castle looks magnificent. Its stone walls are clean. The architecture is elegant. The courtyard is peaceful. It feels like a place where a noble family would live in comfort. But after a few moments, the castle begins to feel different. Notice how high the walls rise around the woman. There is no wide landscape, no open horizon, no distant mountains, no visible road leading into the future. Instead, stone surrounds her from every direction. This creates a strange emotional effect. Although she is standing outdoors, she doesn't feel completely free. It's almost as if the castle is protecting her. while quietly imprisoning her at the same time. That contradiction was deeply familiar to women living in medieval Europe. For noble women especially, castles offered wealth, security, and status. But they also came with expectations. Many marriages were arranged for political alliances rather than love. A woman's future was often decided by her family long before she had any choice in the matter. Whether Leighton intended this as historical commentary or emotional symbolism, the result is unforgettable. The castle becomes more than a building. It becomes a symbol of duty, a place where dreams and responsibilities often collided. The woman's silent conversation. Now look at her again. She isn't rushing anywhere. She isn't calling for help. She isn't crying. In fact, she's doing almost nothing. And that's exactly what makes her so fascinating. Real emotion isn't always dramatic. Sometimes the loudest feelings are the ones hidden beneath complete stillness. Notice the gentle way she leans against the wall. Her body appears relaxed, yet her face carries the weight of deep thought. It's the expression of someone whose mind is somewhere far away. Maybe she's remembering someone. Maybe she's imagining a future. Or maybe she's wondering whether someone she loves will ever return. Leighton never tells us. And that's the genius of the painting. Instead of giving us answers, he gives us space. Space to place our own memories into the scene. Anyone who has ever waited for a letter, a phone call, a loved one, or a second chance can instantly understand what this woman is feeling, without a single word being spoken. The language of light. Then there's the sunlight. Most viewers see it simply as beautiful lighting. But artists know that light often carries meaning. Here, sunlight falls gently across the courtyard. It touches the woman's dress. It brightens the ancient stone. And it creates the very shadow that gives the painting its name. Without light, there would be no shadow. Think about that for a moment. The painting suggests something surprisingly hopeful. Sometimes, the very thing that reminds us of uncertainty exists only because hope is still alive. A shadow cannot exist in complete darkness. It needs light. Perhaps Leighton is quietly telling us that even moments of doubt are born from something brighter. We only fear losing what we truly care about. We only wait because someone matters. We only dream because we still believe tomorrow can be different. Suddenly, the shadow no longer feels frightening. It becomes proof that hope still exists. A story every viewer finishes differently. One of the reasons the shadow has remained so beloved is that it refuses to tell us what happens next. Did the man she was waiting for return? Did she eventually leave the castle? Was she newly engaged? Recently widowed? Or simply imagining the life she wished she could have? No one knows. And perhaps, no one is supposed to know. Leighton understood that mystery is often more powerful than certainty. The moment an artist explains everything, the imagination stops working. But when questions remain unanswered, the painting continues to live inside the viewer's mind. That's why people can stand before this artwork today, more than a century after it was painted, and still come away with completely different interpretations. Some see romance. Some see loneliness. Others see patience. And many see themselves. Because the greatest paintings don't tell us what to think. They invite us to feel. The shadow we all carry. Here's something extraordinary. Although the woman belongs to another century, her emotions belong to every century. Technology has changed. The world has changed. Our lives move faster than ever before. Yet the feeling of waiting has never disappeared. Waiting for good news. Waiting for someone to come home. Waiting for a dream to become reality. Waiting for life to finally begin. In that sense, the shadow isn't hers alone. It's ours. Each of us carries invisible hopes that walk beside us every day. Sometimes they grow longer. Sometimes they almost disappear. But they never truly leave. And perhaps that's why this painting continues to resonate with modern audiences. Not because it tells an old medieval story, but because it quietly reflects the human experience itself. If you've made it this far, you may have noticed something unusual. We've spent several minutes discussing this painting, yet we've never identified exactly who the woman is. Because we can't. Edmund Blair Leighton never gave her a name. He never wrote a backstory. He never explained what happened before this moment, or what happened after. And perhaps that was his greatest decision as an artist. Because the less he told us, the more we began to tell ourselves. A masterpiece that refused to grow old. When the shadow was first exhibited, audiences admired it for its remarkable beauty and technical precision. Victorian viewers loved medieval romance, and Leighton knew exactly how to capture that world. But while many paintings from that era remain trapped in history, this one quietly escaped it. More than a century has passed. Empires have risen and fallen. Wars have changed the world. Technology has transformed the way we live. Yet this silent woman still waits. Generation after generation has looked at her and felt the same strange connection. Not because they lived in castles, not because they wore medieval clothing, but because every human being understands what it means to hope for something that hasn't happened yet. That emotion never becomes outdated. The real subject was never the woman. Let's return to the title one final time. The shadow. After everything we've discovered, it becomes clear that Leighton wasn't asking us to admire the woman. He was asking us to notice something far less obvious. The invisible part of every life. Think about it. A shadow always follows us. It changes with the light. Sometimes it's long. Sometimes it's barely visible. Sometimes we don't notice it at all. Yet it never truly leaves. Perhaps Leighton saw human dreams in the same way. Our hopes, our fears, our memories, the future we imagine. They quietly follow us wherever we go. Invisible, yet impossible to escape. The woman isn't staring at the wall because she's interested in stone. She's confronting something much deeper. The life she imagines. The future she cannot yet reach. And maybe, the future she's afraid she'll never have. Why this painting still feels so personal. Every generation sees something different in the shadow. Someone who has fallen in love may see anticipation. Someone who has lost a loved one may see grief. Someone beginning a new chapter may see hope. Someone facing uncertainty may see themselves standing exactly where that woman stands, wondering what tomorrow will bring. That is the rare magic of truly great art. It doesn't change. We do. And every time we return, the painting seems to tell a different story. Not because it has changed, but because we have. Very few artists achieve that. Leighton did. without dramatic action, without spectacle, without a single spoken word. The silent lesson hidden in the painting. There's one final detail that many people overlook. The woman never tries to step away from her shadow. She doesn't run from it. She doesn't hide from it. She simply stands beside it, almost as if she has accepted that hope and uncertainty will always exist together. That may be the painting's greatest lesson. Life never gives us complete certainty. We rarely know exactly what tomorrow holds. We make choices without guarantees. We wait for people. We chase dreams. We trust. We hope. And sometimes, all we have is the quiet belief that the future will eventually meet us where we stand. Just like that woman beneath the castle wall. Cinematic ending. Maybe that's why the shadow continues to captivate people more than 100 years after Edmund Blair Lytton picked up his brush. Not because it's filled with mystery, but because it quietly reveals a truth we all recognize. Every one of us has stood where she stands, waiting for an answer, waiting for a beginning, waiting for life to become what we imagined it could be. Some of us wait for love. Some wait for forgiveness. Others wait for a dream they've carried for years. And while we wait, our own shadows remain beside us. Silent, patient, never speaking, yet always reminding us of who we are and who we hope to become. Perhaps that's why Lytton never told us what happened next. Because the ending was never meant to belong to the woman in the painting. It belongs to the person standing in front of it. To every viewer who has ever wondered whether hope is enough, whether patience has meaning, whether the future they dream about will ever arrive. The painting offers no promises, only a quiet invitation to keep believing, to keep waiting, and to remember that even the longest shadow can exist only where there is light. So the next time you see the shadow, don't ask who the woman is. Ask yourself, what shadow are you following? Because sometimes, the greatest masterpieces aren't the ones that show us the past. They're the ones that help us understand ourselves. And that's why the shadow is remembered not simply as a beautiful painting, but as one of the most quietly powerful stories ever told on canvas. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden stories behind famous paintings, don't forget to subscribe, because the next masterpiece may be hiding an even darker secret.